Farmer adopts lost boy unknowingly, rescuing the missing child of a powerful millionaire. Walter Thompson was driving his old pickup truck down the dusty road when he spotted the boy. The child was sitting on a rock, knees hugged to his chest, face streaked with dirt and tears. The farmer stopped immediately. There was something about the boy that tugged at his heart, maybe the loneliness in his eyes, the same loneliness Walter had carried for 15 years, ever since Emily left. He stepped out slowly, not wanting to scare the child. "Hey there, little one, are you okay?" The boy lifted his gaze. He couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with messy blonde hair and clothes that had once been expensive, but were now torn and dirty. I don't know where my home is," he whispered, his voice trembling. Walter knelt down to meet the boy's eye level. He pulled a clean handkerchief from his pocket and gently wiped the child's dirty face. "What's your name?" "Ethan, but everyone calls me Eth." "Nice to meet you, Eth. My name's Walter, but you can call me Uncle Walt. How long have you been out here?" The boy shrugged. "I don't know. I woke up and I was alone. I walked and walked, but I couldn't find anyone." Walter glanced around. The dirt road cut through an isolated area, the nearest town 40 miles away. How had such a small child ended up here? "Do you remember how you got here?" "I was in the car, so I fell asleep, and when I woke up I was in a strange place, so I started walking. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Walter made a decision. "Listen, Eth, it's getting late. How about you come with me? My place has warm food and a soft bed. Tomorrow morning we'll figure out where your home is, okay?" The boy hesitated for a moment, but there was kindness in the farmer's eyes. He nodded timidly. Walter carefully picked him up. The boy was too light, he probably hadn't eaten in hours. He settled him into the truck's passenger seat, fastening an improvised seatbelt. During the drive, Eth dozed against the door. Walter drove slowly, avoiding potholes so as not to wake him. He stole glances at the child, his chest tight with an emotion he hadn't felt in years. Green Valley Farm appeared around the bend in the road. It wasn't large, just 50 acres where Walter kept a few dairy cows, chickens, and a vegetable garden. The house, built by his father 80 years ago, needed a fresh coat of paint, but was sturdy and welcoming. "We're here, little one," he whispered, lifting the sleeping boy into his arms. The dogs came running, barking. Duke, the bigger mutt, sniffed curiously. Peanut, the smaller one, wagged her tail. "Quiet, you two, we've got company." He laid Ethan on the living room couch and went to fix something to eat. He reheated the beans from lunch, fried 2 eggs, and brewed fresh coffee. The smell of food roused the boy. "Uncle?" "Right here, Eth. Come wash your hands so we can eat." As they ate, Walter studied the boy. Despite his obvious hunger, he had good table manners, using his utensils properly. His clothes, though dirty, were high quality. This child came from a well-off family. "Eth, do you remember your parents' names?" "Daddy is Richard. Mommy is Victoria, but they don't live together anymore." "And your last name?" The boy frowned, concentrating. "It's hard. Collins. Yeah, Collins." Walter tucked that information away. Tomorrow morning he'd go into town and talk to Sheriff Howard. After dinner, he gave the boy a bath. In the bathroom light, he noticed the clothes better, designer labels, an expensive child's watch on his wrist. "Eth, where do you live? What city?" "In a big house, with a pool, and lots of cars." "Do you remember the name of the city?" The boy shook his head, already sleepy. Walter improvised a bed in the guest room, the same room he and Emily had once prepared with so much love for the child they never had. He laid out clean sheets and a soft blanket. "You can sleep easy. And now, tomorrow we'll sort everything out. Uncle Walt, can I ask you something?" "Of course, my boy. Why do you live alone? Don't you have any family?" The question caught Walter off guard. He sat on the edge of the bed. "I did. My wife, Emily. But she went to heaven many years ago." "Was she pretty?" "The most beautiful woman in the world, had the sweetest smile I've ever seen." "Do you get sad being alone?" Walter swallowed hard. "Sometimes, yes, but now you're here, aren't you, so I'm not alone anymore." The boy smiled, a smile that lit up the whole room. He took the farmer's calloused hand. "I like you, Uncle. You're good." Walter left the room with misty eyes. He went out to the porch where he smoked his corn husk cigarette every night, talking to the stars and to Emily. Could this be a sign, my love, after all this time alone? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. The next morning, Walter woke up to laughter. He rushed to the backyard and found Ethan playing with the dogs, running barefoot on the grass still wet with dew. "Good morning, Uncle. The dogs are so cool." "Good morning, Eth. Come have breakfast, then we'll go to town." He prepared a hearty breakfast, homemade bread, fresh butter, farm cheese, and coffee with milk. The boy ate with gusto. "Uncle, what is this place?" "It's my farm. I've lived here since I was born. It's huge. Are there animals?" "Sure are. Cows, chickens, pigs. Want to see?" The boy's eyes sparkled. They spent the morning exploring the property. Ethan asked 1,000 questions. Why the cows mooed, how chickens laid eggs, where milk came from. Walter answered everything patiently, charmed by the child's curiosity. How long had it been since he'd had someone to share his world with? Around noon they went to town. Oakville was small, the kind of place where everyone knew each other. Their first stop was the sheriff's office. Howard, the sheriff, had been Walter's friend since childhood. "Walter, what brings you here? And who's this young man?" "That's why I came. Found the boy yesterday on Creek Road. He's lost." Howard crouched in front of Ethan. "Hey, champ, what's your name?" "Ethan Collins, but you can call me Eth." "How old are you, Eth?" "6. I'll be 7 in December." The sheriff took notes. "Do you know where you live?" "In a big house, in New York, I think." Howard and Walter exchanged glances. New York was over 300 miles away. "I'll check the missing persons reports. But it's odd, usually. When a child goes missing, especially from a wealthy family, word spreads fast." Walter left his phone number. "Call me if you remember anything else. In the meantime, can the boy stay with you?" "Of course, I won't leave the little one helpless." They left the sheriff's office and went to the store. Walter bought simple but clean clothes, children's hygiene products, and a few toys. "Uncle, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did. As long as you're with me, you'll have everything you need." Mrs. Robinson, the shopkeeper, whispered, "Who's the boy, Walter?" "A little one who needs help." The woman looked at him warmly. "It's good for you. You've been alone too long on that farm." On the way back, they passed the elementary school. Susan, the teacher, was just leaving. "Walter, long time no see." "Hi, Susan, this is Eth. He's staying with me for a while." The teacher studied, the boy with a professional eye. "Do you go to school yet, Eth?" "Yeah, I can read and write. That's great. If you stay longer, you're welcome in my class." Back at the farm, the afternoon flew by. Ethan helped gather eggs, feed the pigs, and water the garden. He worked eagerly, without complaint. "Uncle, this is way cooler than my house." "Why's that?" "There, I'm alone all day. The nanny is always on her phone. The security guards don't play with me." Security guards. Walter stored that information away. That evening, after dinner, they sat on the porch. The sky was clear, thousands of stars shining. "Uncle, why are there so many stars here? At my house, I hardly see any." "It's because of the city lights out here in the country, far from everything. The stars come out. Can you tell me a story about the stars?" Walter smiled. Emily had loved the legends about constellations. "Do you see those 3 stars in a row? Those are the 3 sisters." He told the story, then another and another. Before he knew it, Ethan was asleep in his lap. He carried him to bed, his heart heavy. What would happen when the boy's family showed up? Meanwhile, in New York, chaos had taken over the Collins mansion. Richard paced back and forth, shouting orders at the security team. "How did you lose my son? How is that even possible?" Frank, the head of security, was pale. "Mr. Collins, we stopped at the gas station. Ethan was asleep in the back seat. When we came back, the door was open and he was gone." "How long ago did this happen?" 2 days, sir. We've been searching the entire metro area." 2 days? My son has been missing for 2 days and you still haven't found him." Victoria, his ex-wife, arrived in a panic. "Richard, where's our son? What happened?" "Victoria, There was a problem during the trip. What trip? You didn't even tell me you were taking him anywhere. It was just a weekend at the country house. And now, where's Ethan? Where's my son? Victoria broke down in tears. Despite their messy divorce, they both loved their son more than anything. We'll find him. Richard tried to hug her, but she pulled away. This is your fault, your shady business deals, your enemies. How many times did I warn you? Victoria, please. No. If anything happens to my baby, I'll never forgive you. Richard felt the weight of guilt. It was true, he'd made enemies over the years. His methods weren't always clean. Was this revenge? A kidnapping? Frank, I want all our contacts mobilized. Offer a reward. $1 million for any information. Yes, sir. What about the police? They've been notified, but you know we can't rely on them alone. The search intensified, but it was focused on the wrong area. No one imagined the boy could have ended up so far away. At the farm, the days passed in peaceful routine. Ethan woke up early, eager to help with chores. Walter had never seen a child adapt so quickly to rural life. Uncle, can I name the chickens? Of course, but there are a lot of them, you know. That's okay, this chubby one will be Penny, that one over there is Coco. Walter laughed at the boy's creativity. The once quiet farm was now full of voices and laughter. Mrs. Wilson, the closest neighbor, stopped by for her weekly visit. Walter Thompson, what's this about you having a child here? Hi, Wilma. This is Eth. Eth, this is Mrs. Wilson, a good friend of mine. Nice to meet you, Mom. Do you live nearby? Just over the hill, sweetheart, but tell me, where did you come from? Walter explained the situation. Mrs. Wilson grew concerned. What about his family? Have you found out anything? Howard is looking into it, but so far, nothing. Mrs. Wilson watched as Ethan ran around the yard, how Walter looked at him with such fondness. Be careful, Walter. Careful about what? Don't get too attached. The boy has a family somewhere. I know, Wilma, but until they show up, I understand. I just don't want to see you hurt again. Mrs. Wilson knew Walter's pain well. She'd been there when Emily died, had seen the strong man fall apart. She'd watched the years of loneliness, the failed attempts to have children. That afternoon, Howard called. Walter, something strange. I checked all the systems. There's no record of a missing child by that name. What do you mean? Either the family didn't report him missing or the boy was abandoned. Walter looked at Ethan, who was teaching Peanut to shake hands. Abandoned? But he talks about his parents, about home. It could be fantasy, Walter. Children sometimes make up stories. Or maybe his parents don't want him back. The idea outraged Walter. How could anyone not want that wonderful child? So, now what? What do I do? For now, keep taking care of him. I'll expand the search. If no one shows up in another week, we'll have to contact Child Protective Services. Walter hung up with a heavy heart. He looked at the boy again, now lying on the grass tickling Duke. Come here, Eth. Let's talk. They sat under the ancient mango tree. Eth, are you sure your parents are looking for you? The boy suddenly grew serious. Daddy must be really mad. He always gets mad when I disappear. You've disappeared before? Sometimes I hide. When Daddy and Mommy fight a lot, I hide. But this time was different. I didn't mean to disappear. Tell me what happened. Everything you remember. Ethan closed his eyes, concentrating. Daddy said we were going for a ride. Just the two of us, without the boring bodyguards. We got in the big car, drove for a long time. I fell asleep. When I woke up, I was in a strange, dark place. I was scared. I walked and walked until the sun came up. Then you found me. You didn't see your father again? No, I think he forgot about me. Tears streamed down the boy's face. Walter pulled him into a hug. Your father didn't forget you, son. I'm sure he's looking for you. But what if he isn't? What if he doesn't? Want me anymore because I'm messy? Look at me, Eth. You're not messy. You're a wonderful, smart, loving boy. Any father would be proud to have you as a son. Would you? The question caught Walter off guard. He looked into the boy's blue eyes, so full of hope and fear. Yes, I'd be very proud. The hug that followed was long, full of unspoken emotions. At that moment, under the shade of the mango tree, two lonely hearts found comfort in each other. Days turned into weeks. Walter enrolled Ethan in the rural school, saying he was a distant nephew staying for a while. Susan, the teacher, was impressed. "Walter, this boy is brilliant. He already reads fluently, does math, knows things my third. Graders don't. He's really special. But I've noticed something. He seems sad sometimes, stares out the window, sighing." "It's complicated, Susan. He's away from his family." "I understand. I'll give him extra attention." In class, Ethan quickly made friends. Jimmy, Mrs. Wilson's grandson, became his best friend. The two were inseparable, at school and later on the farm. "Uncle Walt, can I show Eth the secret cave?" "What cave, Jimmy?" "The one near the old river. It's super cool." "You can go, but be careful, and come back before dark." Watching. The boys' play filled Walter's heart. The farm had never felt so alive. One afternoon, while sorting Ethan's clothes for laundry, he found something curious. Sewn inside the shirt, a small tag with the initials MA embroidered in gold thread, and below it, numbers that looked like a code. He kept the discovery to himself, but it strengthened his certainty. Ethan came from a very wealthy family, so why was no one looking for him? The answer lay 500 kilometers away, in Richard Collins's growing despair. He had hired private investigators, mobilized police contacts, offered million-dollar rewards. But the search focused on the route between New York and the country house and the big cities nearby. "Mr. Collins," said John Carter, the country's top private investigator, "we need to consider other possibilities." "What possibilities?" "What if the boy was taken far away, the countryside, another state?" "But how? He was in the car. You said you stopped at a gas station. It's possible someone took him, or that he left on his own and hitched." "Hurried." Richard paled. The thought of Ethan alone, possibly in danger, tormented him day and night. "Do whatever it takes. Spend whatever you need, but find my son." Victoria, meanwhile, withered away each day. She didn't eat, didn't sleep, living on sedatives. "My baby, my little Ethan, where are you?" Her mother, Mrs. Thompson, tried to offer support. "Sweetheart, you must have faith. They'll find Ethan." "And if they don't, Mom? What if someone hurt him?" "Don't think like that. Ethan is strong, smart. Wherever he is, I'm sure he's fine." Little did she know how right she was. At the farm, life carried on at its own pace. Ethan was settling deeper into that simple yet affection-filled reality. He learned to milk cows, plant crops, and care for the animals with tenderness and responsibility. "Uncle, why is Buttercup sad today?" "How do you know she's sad? Look at her, she's not herself." Walter looked closer. The boy was right. The cow was listless. "Good eye, Eth. Let's call the vet." Dr. Peterson, the local veterinarian, confirmed. Buttercup had a mild infection. Nothing serious, but she needed care. "Your helper's got a sharp eye," he praised. "He'll make a fine farmer." Ethan's chest swelled with pride. That night he insisted on sleeping in the barn to tend to Buttercup. "She needs to know she's not alone, Uncle." Walter set up a makeshift hay bed. The two kept watch over the cow, whispering so as not to disturb her. "Uncle, did you always want to be a farmer?" "Actually, I studied agronomy. Could have moved to the city, worked for a company. But I chose to stay." "Why?" "For love. Emily loved this place, and after she passed, being here keeps me close to her." "Do you still love her?" "Always will, Eth. True love doesn't die." "My parents don't love each other anymore, that's why they split up." "Sometimes love changes, son, but I'm sure they both love you." "I hope so." Buttercup let out a soft moo, as if agreeing. Ethan laughed and stroked the cow. "Don't worry, Buttercup. You'll feel better tomorrow." And she did. The boy's dedication, the medicine, and the care worked. In 2 days, Buttercup was grazing happily again. "You've got a gift, Eth," Walter said. "Animals sense your kindness." The comment made the boy think. That evening at dinner he asked, "Uncle, what do you think I'll be when I grow up?" "Whatever you want, my boy. You're smart, you've got a good heart. The world's open to you." "I want to be like you." Walter choked on his coffee. "Like me? But Eth, you could be a doctor, an engineer, a businessman. So what? You're happy, you take care of animals, plants, people. Isn't that important?" The child's simple wisdom moved Walter. How often had he doubted his own choices? And here was a 6-year-old showing him he'd chosen right. It is, Eth, it's very important. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. One Saturday morning, something unexpected happened. Walter went to town for supplies and left Ethan in Wilma's care. When he returned, he spotted an unfamiliar car parked at the farm's entrance. His heart raced. Could it be Ethan's family? He stepped slowly out of the pickup. A man in a suit waited on the porch. It wasn't Richard Collins. Walter had looked him up online and knew what the boy's father looked like. Mr. Walter. Thompson, that's me. How can I help you? My name is Anthony Parker. I'm with Child Protective Services. I've received reports of a child without documentation living here. Walter felt the ground drop beneath him. The boy is under my temporary care. Sheriff Howard knows all about it. I see. May I see him? Of course. Eth, come here, son. Ethan came running with Jimmy close behind. Hi, Uncle. Look, we found a bird's nest. He stopped when he saw the stranger. Hi, Ethan. I'm Anthony. I came to check if you're doing all right. The boy moved closer to Walter, gripping his hand. I'm great. Uncle Walt takes good care of me. Anthony observed the interaction. Taking notes. Ethan, can you tell me how you ended up here? The boy repeated the story. Anthony frowned. And your parents? Do you know where they are? I don't know. I think they forgot about me. No one forgets their child, Ethan. Then why haven't they come to get me? Anthony had no answer. He looked at Walter. Mr. Thompson, this situation is irregular. No documentation, no family authorization. I know, but what do you expect me to do? Abandon the boy? Of course not, but we need to formalize things. If the family doesn't show up in another week, I'll have to take him to a shelter. A shelter? Ethan tightened his grip on Walter's hand. I don't want to go. I want to stay here. Easy, son. Walter hugged him. We'll figure this out. Anthony jotted down a few more things. I can see the boy is well cared for, but the law is the law. 1 week, Mr. Thompson. After he left, Ethan cried inconsolably. I don't want to go to the shelter, Uncle, please. You won't, Eth, I promise. We'll find your family. But how? Walter felt helpless. He called Howard again. The situation's gotten complicated, Walter. If Child Protective Services is pressuring, Howard, I need you to look harder. The boy said his dad's name is Richard, his mom's Victoria, last name Collins. They're from New York. I'll try again. But Walter, have you considered applying for temporary custody? Can I do that? You can try. With a good lawyer arguing the child is settled, that there's a bond. Talk to Dr. Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell, a lawyer. With 40 years of practice in Oakville, listen to the whole story. It's complicated, Walter. Without knowing who the parents are, it's tough, but I can try for an emergency temporary custody order. Do whatever you can, Doctor. That boy, he brought life back into my home. I can see that. But, Walter, what happens when the family shows up? Because they will sooner or later. I know it'll hurt, but at least I'll have given him love when he needed it. Dr. Mitchell started the process. Meanwhile, life on the farm went on, now under a shadow of uncertainty. Ethan grew quieter, more clingy. He wouldn't leave Walter's side. Uncle, if I'm really good, can I stay forever? It's not about being good, son. You're perfect just the way you are. Then why can't I choose where I live? Because children need their parents. But what if the parents don't need the child? The question stung. Walter hugged the boy. Your parents need you, Eth. I'm sure of it. Wherever they are, they must be desperate. And they were. Richard had lost 20 pounds. He wasn't sleeping, barely eating, surviving on coffee and anxiety. He'd expanded the search to a radius of 600 miles, but always focusing on big cities. We need to think differently, Detective Carter suggested in a meeting. What if the boy ended up in a small town, the countryside? But there are hundreds of towns. Then let's split the teams. Send out photos, posters. Someone must have seen him. The campaign began. Posters with Ethan's photo were spread across 5 states. The reward climbed to $5 million. In Oakville, the poster arrived 2 weeks later. It was pinned to the town hall bulletin board, among other notices. Mary Grace, a cleaning worker, saw it first. "Oh my, look at this. Isn't this Walter's boy?" Word spread fast. Within minutes, half the town knew. Someone called Howard. "Sheriff, there's a poster here. Missing child. 5 million reward." Howard ran to see. It was Ethan, without a doubt. The same child who played at Walter's farm. With a heavy heart, he picked up the phone. First, he called the number on the poster. "Hello? This is Sheriff Howard Miller from Oakville, Vermont, about the missing child." On the other end, Frank nearly dropped the phone. "Do you have information? Where is he? Is he okay?" "Yes, he's fine. He's been with a local farmer who found him lost for 3 weeks now." 3 weeks? My God, Mr. Richard. "Sheriff, don't move. We're coming right away." The mobilization was instant. Richard prepared the private jet. Victoria insisted on coming along. In 2 hours, they'd be in Oakville. Howard called Walter. "My friend, I have news. We found Ethan's family." Walter felt the world spin. "You found them?" "His father is Richard Collins, one of the richest men in the country. They're on their way here now. I knew he came from an important family." "And the boy? How do I tell him?" "Gently, Walter. The way you do everything." Walter hung up and watched Ethan playing in the yard. How could he tell the boy that in just a few hours his life would change again? "Eth, come here. I need to tell you something." They sat on the porch. Walter held the boy's small hands. "Remember how we've been looking for your parents? They've been found. They're coming here." Ethan's face flashed through several emotions: surprise, fear, sadness. "Coming here? To take me away?" "Yes, my boy, to take you back home. But my home is here now. No, I don't want to go. I want to stay with you." The boy clung to Walter, crying desperately. The farmer wept silently too. "I wish you could stay too, my boy, but you have a family who loves you. You're my family too, and I always will be, in my heart. But you need to go back to your parents." They spent the next hours holding each other. Ethan didn't want to eat or play. He clung to Walter as if his little arms could stop the separation. The rumble of approaching cars broke the afternoon silence. 3 black SUVs stopped in front of the house. Men in suits stepped. Out first, security. Then Richard Collins. Walter saw a man broken by anguish, hollow eyes, a weary face, but they lit up when he saw his son. "Ethan! My God, Ethan!" Victoria followed, already crying. "My baby! My son!" Ethan shrank even closer to Walter. He looked at his parents with frightened eyes. "Son, it's me, your dad. We searched the whole world for you." "Ethan, my love, come to Mommy." Victoria approached slowly. "No," the boy shouted. "I don't want to. I want to stay. Here." Richard and Victoria exchanged helpless glances. Walter gestured for them to wait. "Eth, look at me. These are your parents. They love you. They've been desperate to find you. But they fight all the time." Richard and Victoria hung their heads in shame. "Son," Richard knelt. "Forgive me. Forgive all the fights, for not taking better care of you. I promise it'll be different." "Ethan," Victoria also knelt. "Mommy loves you more than anything. We missed you so much." Slowly, Ethan relaxed. He looked at his parents, then at Walter. "Uncle Walt, are they telling the truth?" "They are, my boy. Look at their eyes. It's real love." Finally, Ethan let go of Walter and took a step toward his parents. Victoria pulled him into a tight hug, sobbing, "My baby, my baby." Richard wrapped his arms around them both, tears flowing freely. Walter watched from a distance, heartbroken but happy to see the family reunited. After many hugs and tears, Richard approached Walter. "You saved my son. How can I thank you?" "No need to thank me. It was a joy to take care of Eth." "Eth?" Richard smiled. "Did he let you call him that?" "That's how he introduced himself." Richard looked around the farm, noticing the improvised toys, the simple but clean clothes Ethan was wearing. "You took care of him with love. I can see that. It was the least I could do." "No, Mr. Walter. You went above and beyond. Much more." Ethan let go of his parents and ran to Walter. "Uncle, can I come back to visit?" Walter glanced at Richard, who nodded. Of course you can, my boy. Whenever you want. Promise? I promise. And can I write letters? You can. And I'll answer everyone. More hugs, more tears. Ethan insisted on saying goodbye to every animal, every corner of the farm. He picked up Peanut in his arms. Take care of Uncle Walt for me, okay? The little dog licked his face as if she understood. Finally, time to leave. Ethan got into the car but ran back for one last hug. I love you, Uncle Walt. I love you too, my boy. Forever. The convoy drove off, leaving a cloud of dust and a huge emptiness. Walter stood in the same spot until the cars disappeared around the bend. Mrs. Wilson, who had watched from a distance, approached. You did the right thing, Walter. Then why does it hurt so much, Wilma? Because it was real love, and real love always hurts when it's time to part. Walter walked into the empty house. The guest room still smelled like a child. The drawings on the fridge seemed to scream with absence. He sat on the porch with his hand-rolled cigarette. Emily, my love, you sent him to me, didn't you? To teach me I still know how to love, thank you. But now how do I deal with this hole in my chest? The days that followed were hard. The farm returned to its former silence. Walter kept to his routine, but without the joy Ethan had brought. At school, Susan noticed the absence. The kids keep asking about Ethan. What should I tell them? The truth, that he went back to his family. And you, Walter? How are you? Surviving. He'll come back. You'll see. A week later, the first letter arrived. A thin envelope, quality paper, but the handwriting was unmistakably Ethan's. Dear Uncle Walt, I miss you so much. New York is noisy and has no stars. Dad and Mom are trying not to fight, but sometimes they forget. I'm counting the days until I can come back. Dad said I can stay for a whole month during vacation. Take care of Buttercup and tell her I sent a kiss. Peanut and Duke too. And make sure you eat properly, okay? No more just coffee and cigarettes. That's bad for you. Love, your Eth. Walter read and reread the letter dozens of times. He replied the same day, sharing farm updates, greetings from the animals, and promises of adventures for vacation. And so began a regular correspondence. Every week, letters went back and forth. Ethan wrote about his new school friends and how much he missed the farm. Walter replied with farm stories, advice, and affection. 2 months later, the phone rang. Mr. Walter, it's Richard Collins. Mr. Richard, how's Eth? Ethan is struggling. Since he came back, he hasn't been the same. He barely eats, doesn't want to play, cries asking to go back to the farm. Kids adapt, Mr. Richard. Give him time. It's just, the psychologist said the bond he formed with you is very strong. He suggested we keep regular contact, not just letters. What do you propose? How about video calls every week? And I was thinking maybe we could move up the visit next weekend. Walter's heart raced. That would be wonderful. Great. But Mr. Walter, I need to be honest. Victoria is jealous. She thinks Ethan loves you more than us. That's not true. Love isn't a competition. He loves you one. Sawiki and me another. I know, but try to see her side. It's hard for a mother. I understand completely. I'll do whatever I can to help. The week passed slowly. Walter had everything ready. Ethan's room was spotless. He'd prepared his favorite foods, planned activities. Saturday morning the car arrived, but this time just one. Ethan jumped out before it even came to a complete stop. Uncle Walt! The hug was long, emotional. The boy had grown a few inches, but his smile was the same. Look how big you've gotten. Have you been eating well? Sort of. The food there isn't as good as yours. Richard stepped out of the car. This time no bodyguards, no fuss. He wore simple jeans and a shirt. Mr. Thompson, thank you for having us. This house is always open to you. Where's Victoria? Richard hesitated. She chose not to come this time. She's still processing everything. Walter understood. He nodded. With time, she'll see I'm no threat. The weekend was magical. Ethan became his joyful self again. He showed his father every corner of the farm, introduced each animal by name. Dad, look, Penny laid eggs, and Buttercup's getting chubby again. Richard watched in awe. He'd never seen his son so happy, so free. "Mr. Thompson, may I speak with you privately?" They sat on the porch while Ethan played. "I'm impressed. In 2 months of trying, I never saw my son smile like he has these past 2 days. It's the setting, Mr. Collins. Children need space, nature. It's more than that. It's you, the love you've given him." Richard paused, visibly moved. "I'll be direct. How about an arrangement? Ethan could spend alternate weekends here, school vacations too. In return, I'd help with farm expenses, improvements. No payment needed, Mr. Collins. I love the boy. I know, but let me help. Not as payment, but as family." The word surprised them both. Richard continued, "Because that's what we are. Now, isn't it? An unconventional extended family, but family." Walter felt his eyes grow moist. "It would be an honor to be part of your family." They worked out the details. Victoria would need time, but Richard was confident she'd come around. At their goodbye, less dramatic this time, Ethan beamed. 2 weeks, Uncle, just 2 weeks and I'll be back." "I'll count the days, son." And so a routine was established. Every other Friday evening, Ethan would arrive and stay until Sunday. Sometimes Richard stayed, sometimes just dropped him off. Gradually, an unlikely friendship formed between the simple farmer and the millionaire businessman. They discovered that despite their differences, they shared important values. "You know, Walter, I envy your life." "Envy? You have everything." "I have money, but peace, simplicity. Look at that sunset. When was the last time I stopped to watch?" The sun set. They began having long talks. Richard confessed past mistakes, the pressures of business, the price of success. "I sacrificed my family for money, lost Victoria, nearly lost Ethan. But you're trying to make amends, that's what matters. You lost Emily, but never lost love. I had Victoria and lost her to greed. There's still time, Richard. You have Ethan as your bond." 3 months later, a surprise. Victoria showed up unannounced one Saturday. Walter was in the garden with Ethan when the car arrived. "Mom!" Ethan ran to her. "Hi, sweetheart. I came to see where you're so happy." She greeted Walter cautiously. "Mrs. Collins, welcome. Thank you. I need to know the man who's won over my son better." Lunch was tense at first. Victoria watched every interaction between Walter and Ethan, trying to understand. Then Ethan got hurt playing, a scraped knee, and everything changed. Walter tended to the injury with fatherly care, distracting the boy from the pain. "Their champ won't even leave a mark." "You always take care of him like this when he gets hurt?" Victoria asked. "Always. Active kids get hurt sometimes. It's part of growing up." "Mom, Uncle Walt took care of me when I had a fever too. He made mint tea and stayed with me all night." Victoria felt something soften in her heart. After lunch, while Ethan showed the animals to Richard, she and Walter talked. "Forgive my suspicion. It's just hard to accept that someone else gives my son what I should be giving him." "You do give him that, Mrs. Collins. Love, education, care. I just add to it. Ethan said you lost your wife 15 years ago. Emily was everything to me. And you never remarried? Never found anyone who could hold a candle to her. And then I got used to the loneliness. That must have been hard." "It was, until your son showed up and brought light back into this house." Victoria saw the truth in Walter's eyes. There was no ill intent, just pure love. "Thank you for taking care of him when we fell short." "You didn't fall short. Accidents happen." When they left, Victoria hugged him goodbye. "Mr. Thompson, would it be possible for me to visit sometimes too? I'd love to learn about farm life." "The doors are always open, Mrs. Collins." And so, little by little, an unconventional family formed. Victoria started visiting more often, finding therapy in the wood-fired kitchen to ease her city stress. "My grandmother used to cook like this," she said one day, stirring guava jam in the pot. "I'd forgotten how good it felt." "You've got a knack for it," Walter praised. "Please call me Victoria, and would you teach me your recipes?" Ethan happily watched their interactions. His once divided world was slowly coming together, but not everything was smooth sailing. Michael Robertson, Richard's old business rival, found out about the farm. "Interesting," he told his lawyer. "Richard Collins has a weak spot, a little farm in the country where his son stays." What do you have in mind? Nothing drastic, just pressure. That land must be worth something, and the old man must have needs. Strange troubles began. First, a questionable environmental fine, then issues with once reliable suppliers. Walter was baffled. It's too strange, Dr. Mitchell. 40 years without a problem, and suddenly everything happens at once. His lawyer investigated. Walter, someone powerful wants your land. Sure you won't sell? Over my dead body, this land's been in my family for generations. When Richard heard, he was furious. This has Michael Robertson's fingerprints all over it. He found out about Ethan and wants to hurt me. Richard, I don't want to bring trouble to you. You didn't bring anything, Walter. I did, but I'll fix it. Richard made some calls, used his influence, his connections. Within a week, the pressure stopped. But Michael didn't give up easily. If legal pressure failed, he'd try other means. One afternoon, 2 men showed up at the farm. Walter was alone. Mr. Thompson, we've got an offer for you. I'm not selling. You should reconsider. $5 million for the farm. I said no. The men exchanged glances. Mr. Thompson, accidents happen, especially on isolated farms, fire, for example. The threat was clear. Walter held back his anger. Get off my property, now. Think it over, old man. We wouldn't want anything to happen when the boy's here. Mentioning Ethan was the last straw. Walter grabbed his shotgun. Get out, and if you come back, you won't leave on your feet. The men left, but the threat lingered. Walter called Richard immediately. The response was swift. Richard not only discreetly increased farm security, but went straight to the source. Michael Robertson received Richard in his office. Richard, what a surprise. Cut the act, Michael. I know what you're doing. I don't know what you're talking about. Walter Thompson's farm. My son stays there. Michael paled slightly. Your son, I didn't know. Now you know, and if one more problem, just one, happens on that farm, I'll finish you. And you know I can. Are you threatening me? I'm promising you messed with my family. The message was clear. The problems stopped immediately, but the stress took its toll. One morning, Mrs. Wilson found Walter collapsed in the yard. Help! Someone! Walter! It was a heart attack. At the hospital, the doctors were clear. It was serious. He needs complete rest and a change of habits. The news reached New York in minutes. Ethan was inconsolable. It's my fault. If he hadn't saved me... No, my love, Victoria hugged him. The blame lies with bad people. We'll take care of Uncle Walt. The whole family mobilized. Richard arranged for the best doctors. Victoria organized care schedules. Ethan made dozens of drawings to brighten the hospital room. Uncle, you have to get better. Who's going to teach me to fish? I'll get better, Eth. I promise. The recovery was slow. Walter had to accept help, something hard for an independent man. Richard hired helpers for the farm. Victoria cooked special meals. Ethan read stories every afternoon. You don't have to do all this, Walter protested. Yes, we do, Victoria replied. Family takes care of family. It was the first time she included Walter as family. He noticed, deeply moved. Little by little, Walter improved. The farm, now with help, thrived. The constant presence of the Collins family brought new life to the place. One afternoon, Richard made a proposal. Walter, I've been thinking, what if we turned part of the farm into a social project? A place where city kids can learn about rural life. How so? Ethan changed so much here. He learned values money can't buy. Other kids could have that chance, Walter thought. Emily had always dreamed of doing something like this. Emily would have loved this idea. Then let's do it, in her memory. And so the Emily Project was born. On weekends, groups of underprivileged children visited the farm. They learned about farming, animal care, and respect for nature. Ethan was the main helper, teaching what he'd learned. Look, you have to hold the egg like this, gently. The chicken trusted you. Susan, the teacher, coordinated the educational side. It's beautiful to see how a place of pain has turned into hope. The project grew. Donations came in, volunteers showed up. The farm became a model for environmental education, but life still had surprises. During a routine doctor's visit, they discovered Walter's heart was weaker than they thought. Mr. Thompson, You need to consider a transplant. A transplant? At my age? It's your best chance. Without it, maybe a year or two. The news shook everyone. Ethan refused to accept it. No, Uncle Walt is going to live a long time, he promised. Victoria managed to calm him. My love, we'll fight together. Uncle Walt is strong. They joined the transplant list. The wait was agonizing. Walter kept his humor. A new heart at 70, I'll be a heartthrob. But at night alone he talked to Emily. If it's my time, love, so be it. But if you can, give me a little longer. The boy still needs me. 6 months of waiting. Walter grew weaker, but kept up his routine as much as possible. One morning, the phone rang. Mr. Thompson, we have a compatible heart. The surgery was long and tense. The whole family waited. Richard, Victoria, Ethan, Mrs. Wilson, Susan, half the town. When the doctor came out smiling, the celebration was universal. The surgery was a success. He's a fighter. The recovery was hard, but Walter had reasons to fight. Seeing Ethan grow, the project thrive, the family united. A year later, at Ethan's birthday party on the farm, Walter gave a speech. 2 years ago, I was a lonely man waiting for the end. Then God sent an angel in the form of a lost boy. That boy gave me back my life, gave me a family, a purpose. Ethan, my grandson in spirit, thank you for saving me. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Ethan ran to hug him. I'm the one who should thank you, Grandpa, for loving me when I needed it most. Yes, now it was Grandpa. The natural evolution of a love that only grew stronger. Richard and Victoria exchanged glances. The divorce, which had seemed inevitable, had been put on hold. Working together for Walter and Ethan, they rediscovered what had brought them together in the first place. You know, Victoria said softly, I think Walter saved our whole family. He really did, Richard agreed, taking her hand. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like the video and especially to subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. But the peace wouldn't last long. Michael Robertson, humiliated and furious, had been plotting his revenge for months. He'd discovered something that would change everything. He'd hired investigators to dig into everyone's past, and he'd found a bombshell. Richard had a half-brother he knew nothing about. Michael was that brother. Richard's father had an affair, and Michael was the result. He'd grown up watching Richard have everything while he struggled for scraps. Envy had turned to hatred. He decided it was time Richard knew the truth, but he'd do it in the most painful way possible. On Walter's 70th birthday, Green Valley Farm was alive with celebration. Family, friends, the kids from the project, everyone was there. That's when Michael showed up uninvited. What a lovely party, mind if I join? Richard stood up, tense. What are you doing here, Michael? I came to congratulate the birthday boy and to deliver a gift for you, brother. Brother? Michael tossed the documents onto the table. That's right. We're brothers, Richard. Your father was mine too. The room fell silent. Richard picked up the papers with trembling hands. DNA tests, certificates, irrefutable proof. This can't be... Can't? I spent my whole life watching you have everything while I was the hidden bastard. Victoria gripped Richard's arm. Ethan moved closer to Walter, frightened. Why are you doing this? Richard managed to ask. Because I want you to feel a fraction of the pain I've felt my whole life. Rejected, denied, hidden away like a shameful secret. It was Walter who broke the tension. Son, sit down. You're in my home at my party. If you've got grievances, let's talk like civilized people. Michael looked at the old farmer, surprised. You don't understand. I understand. More than you think. I know the pain of rejection, of loss, but I also know hatred doesn't heal a thing. Sit down. Something in Walter's calm voice reached Michael. He sat. Now, Walter continued, tell us your story. We'll all listen. And Michael told it. The abandoned pregnant mother, the impoverished childhood spent watching his father from afar, the forgotten birthdays while Richard got lavish parties, the struggle to study, to build something, and always, Always the shadow of the brother who had everything. "I didn't even know you existed," Richard said, his voice choked. "My father never—" "Of course he didn't tell you. I was his shame." "If I'd known." "Michael, if I'd known, it would have been different." "Would it? Would you have shared the inheritance, the family name, your father's love?" Richard had no answer. He looked at Ethan, imagining what it would be like to grow up knowing his father had another favorite son. It was Ethan who surprised everyone. "Uncle, are you sad because you didn't have a family?" Michael looked at the boy. "Yeah, you could say that. But family is something you can choose. Grandpa Walt taught me that. He's not my blood grandpa, but he's my grandpa in my heart." The child's wisdom cut through the heavy atmosphere. "If you're my dad's brother, then you're really my uncle. Want to see the farm?" Michael was speechless. He stared at the boy with clear eyes, offering what he'd always wanted: belonging. I didn't come here for this." "Then why did you come?" Walter asked. "To ruin my celebration? To cause more pain? Or did you come because, deep down, you want to be part of something?" Michael lowered his head. All the anger, all the hatred nurtured over years suddenly seemed small compared to that table full of love. "I don't know anymore," he admitted. Richard stood up, extending his hand. "Brother, it's too late to change the past, but maybe it's not too late to build something new." Michael looked at the outstretched hand. Decades of resentment fought against an old longing to belong. It was Victoria who tipped the scales. "Michael, I understand your pain. When I divorced Richard, I used Ethan as a weapon. I saw the suffering I caused. I learned that family is too precious to be destroyed by pride." Slowly, Michael shook Richard's hand. "I don't know if I can forgive everything." "You don't have to," Richard replied. "You just have to try, like I'll try to be the brother you deserve to have." What followed were hours of conversation, tears, revelations. Michael learned that Richard had also suffered under their father's coldness, that money had never bought true affection. "You know what I envy most about you?" Michael confessed. "It's not the money, it's this family you built." "We built," Walter corrected, "and there's room for one more if you want." Michael looked around. He saw curious but not hostile faces, children playing, simple but plentiful food. "Love. I'd like that, if you'll have me." Ethan jumped into his lap. "Of course we will. Uncle Michael, do you know how to fish?" And so, on that afternoon that had begun so tense, a family grew. Michael, at 60 years old, experienced for the first time what it was like to be included, accepted, wanted. In the following months, the transformation was remarkable. Michael began visiting the farm. He discovered he had a talent for woodworking and started making toys for the children in the project. "I never had anyone to make these for before," he said, showing a wooden horse. "Now you do," Walter replied. The brothers' reconciliation brought unexpected benefits. United, Richard and Michael formed a formidable business duo, but now with a greater purpose, expanding social projects. "You know," Michael said one afternoon, "I spent my life trying to destroy you. What a waste." "That's in the past," Richard answered. "What matters is now." The Emily project expanded. It wasn't just weekends anymore. They created a model rural school where children learned the standard curriculum alongside farming, sustainability, and values. Susan coordinated everything, masterfully. It's a dream come true. Real holistic education. Ethan, now 9, was a junior mentor. He taught the younger ones with endless patience. Grandpa Walt says teaching is the best way to learn. Walter, with his new heart, had renewed energy, but he was wise enough to delegate, letting the younger ones take on responsibilities. One afternoon, while fishing, Ethan asked a question that surprised him. "Grandpa, what happens when we die?" Walter thought carefully. "Why do you ask, son?" "It's just, I almost lost you. And I keep thinking about Grandma Emily. Is she somewhere waiting for you?" "I believe so, Eth. I believe people who love each other find each other again. Then she must be happy seeing you happy." "Absolutely. And you know what would make her happiest? Seeing that her love lives on in every bit of kindness I show you." Ethan hugged his grandfather. "I love you so much, Grandpa. Promise you'll live a long time." I'll try, my boy, every day is a gift. But life, always unpredictable, had new challenges in store. Victoria discovered a lump in her breast. The diagnosis, early-stage cancer. The shock was brutal. Ethan didn't fully understand but sensed the adult's fear. "Will Mommy be okay?" "We'll fight, sweetheart," Victoria answered, trying to stay strong. The treatment was aggressive. Chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. Victoria lost her hair, lost weight, but never lost her determination. It was at the farm where she found strength. Between treatments, she spent days in the fields, breathing fresh air, cooking with Walter, laughing with the children. "You know," she told Walter one afternoon, "here I remember why it's worth fighting. You'll beat this, Victoria. You're strong, with so much love still to give." Richard proved to be a devoted husband, even divorced. He attended every appointment, held her hand during treatments. "Why are you doing this?" she asked one day. "We're not married anymore. We're Ethan's parents. We're family. And I never stopped loving you, Victoria." The confession took them both by surprise. Years of hurt seemed small in the face of possible loss. "Richard, no need to answer, just let me take care of you." Michael also stepped up. He researched treatments, brought in specialists, offered support. "You're my sister-in-law," he said simply. "Family." The word he'd once longed to hear, he now freely gave. Ethan faced the situation with surprising courage. He drew pictures to cheer. His mother told funny school stories, kept the hospital room filled with flowers from the farm. "Mom, when you get better, we'll throw a huge party at the farm." "Deal, sweetheart." It was 8 months of battle. 8 months where the family came together like never before. When the doctor finally said remission, the celebration was universal. At the farm, they threw the promised party. Victoria, still bald but smiling, danced with Ethan, with Richard, with Walter. "Thank you," she told Walter, "for being our family's safe harbor. This farm is as much yours as mine. Emily would be happy to see so much love here." That night, Richard and Victoria talked for hours. Grudges were forgiven, love rediscovered. 3 months later, they renewed their vows in a simple ceremony at the farm. Ethan was the ring bearer, beaming. "See, Grandpa, I told you true love always finds a way." Walter wiped away a stubborn tear. "You were right, my wise grandson." Life went on, now with the family truly united. The Emily Project became the Emily Foundation, serving hundreds of children. Michael found purpose being the fun uncle who taught woodworking. Richard and Victoria rediscovered mature love, free from past pressures. And Walter, the farmer who'd saved a lost boy, realized he'd been the one saved. At 72, with a transplanted heart and a family he'd chosen to love, he lived his best days. One afternoon, Ethan, now 11, asked, "Grandpa, if you could go back in time, would you change anything?" Walter looked around, the gathered family, the playing children, the farm alive with purpose. "I wouldn't change a thing, son. Every pain, every loss, every moment brought me here, and here is exactly where I want to be. Even the bad moments, especially the bad moments. Without them, I wouldn't cherish the good ones." Ethan thought about that. "So, when I got lost, was that good? It was awful at the time, but look what came of it. A family. We're a pretty crazy family, huh, Grandpa?" Walter laughed, "the best crazy family in the world." And so they carried on, day after day, building memories, overcoming challenges, choosing love. Green Valley Farm, once home to one. Man's loneliness now overflowed with life. Emily somewhere surely smiled, but there would be one final trial. On a winter morning, 5 years after that first meeting, Walter didn't wake for breakfast. Ethan found him peaceful in bed, a soft smile on his face, Emily's photo on the nightstand. The grief was deep but serene. Walter had left as he lived, in peace loved complete. At the funeral, the whole town came. The foundation's children sang, the adults wept, but gratitude outweighed sorrow. Ethan, now 14, insisted on speaking. "Grandpa Walt taught me that family is who we choose to love. He chose to love me when I needed it most. He chose to love my parents, my Uncle Michael, every child who passed through here. Now it's our turn to keep choosing love every single day. That's how he'll stay alive, in every act of kindness, in every helping hand, in every hug. Thank you, Grandpa. Until we meet again. The farm was left to the Emily Foundation, with Ethan as its future guardian. Richard, Victoria, and Michael carried on the projects, expanding the legacy. Years later, Ethan, now an adult with a degree in agriculture like his grandfather, returned to take over the farm. He married Emma, Susan's daughter, and they had children who ran through the same fields where he had discovered love. One afternoon, his 6-year-old son, Walter, named after the great-grandfather he never knew, came running. "Dad, there's a lost boy on the road." Ethan felt a shiver. He ran and found a frightened, dirty, crying child. "Hey, little one. It's okay. What's your name?" "Peter." "I'm lost." Ethan knelt, pulling a handkerchief from his pocket, the same one Walter had used with him so many years before. "Come on, Peter. We'll take care of you. My name is Ethan, but you can call me Uncle Eth." And scooping the child into his arms, he carried him to the same farm where he had learned that love changes destinies, that family is a choice, and that no act of kindness is too small to change the world. The cycle began anew, love endured, and somewhere Walter and Emily smiled. The end of the story. And you, dear listener, what did you think of this journey of love and resilience? Tell us where you're watching from and whether you believe love can transform lives like it did for Walter. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.